Today is the day. Welcome back to episode 3 of Airships and Arcana. Today, we are going to build up our elevator shaft down into the mines, as well as getting up a starter iron farm so that way we can build out more projects without having to worry too much about our resource consumption. Now, in order to do this, we have gathered up an immense amount of materials. We started by chopping down a bunch of spruce trees by hand, before finally remembering that, wait a second, I have a handsaw. Then switching to that for the remainder of my tree chopping journey. We then moved on to craft ourselves some rose quartz. As well as a bunch of other basic create necessities. We then took an afternoon boat tour out into the ocean to find ourselves some kelp. And enjoy the beautiful vistas on our way home. We then proceeded to smelt that kelp down into dried kelp. And then got ambushed outside our front door by a zombie wearing a vampire for a helmet. Upon entering the nether, we were once again ambushed. This time by a crimson mosquito and his gang of zombies. Already deeply concerned about how many dangers I've been facing since stepping out my front door, I was once again swarmed by cinders and blazes. Through a substantial amount of luck and a small amount of skill, I was able to dodge them and survive getting through this far, before I finally found my first actual Minecraft blaze. However, fighting the other cinder blazes in the area left my armor completely destroyed, causing me to be incredibly low on health. After panically clicking on almost anything other than my actual target, I was finally able to capture our blaze burner. And after I returned home, I hung up my one remaining piece of steampunk armor in an act of remembrance. And now with that completed, we are left with this backpack full of resources to get started on the project. Now, we are missing a few key ingredients before we can actually get going. Notably, we need an elevator pulley, which requires a bunch of brass, and we haven't actually started crafting brass yet. Now, it's not too hard to do. We just require copper and zinc ingots in a heated basin, and that needs to get mixed, and then we get brass out of that. As you'll have seen from the clips, we did go ahead into the nether and get ourselves a blaze burner. And I have a mixer somewhere around here. There it is. So go ahead and just take a couple pieces here. And we'll set up a very, very, very temporary mixing station. There we go. That spins. Now, to get this to work, we're going to need to go ahead and fuel this guy just like a furnace. So we'll grab a couple pieces of coal here. And then we're also going to need our copper and our zinc. So we'll go ahead and start by throwing those in. And then feed the blaze. As you see, we get 80 seconds here. I can just go ahead and spin this, and it'll start cooking up our copper and zinc into brass. Alright, looks like the process is done now. And look at that, we got ourselves 32 brass. And also very hungry from spinning that crank for that long. Alright, but now that we've got the brass, we can go ahead and use this to make a bunch of different stuff. But most importantly, for our elevator pulley, we need a brass casing, which, just like the andesite casings, just requires us to click on a log with the ingot. And look at that. If I grab myself my wrench, we can just pick that up super easy. Awesome. And there we go. Elevator pulley complete. That is going to be amazing. We also require a few other brass-based components just to liven up the construction a bit. Notably, we'll need some redstone links as well as some display links. And what these will allow us to do is call the elevator to different floors and also display where the elevator is at. So I'm going to go ahead and craft those up real quick. Alright, with that stuff all crafted up, I think we're just about ready to go here. Now, we are going to have to clear out these temporary farms as they're a bit ugly. Don't make the landscape look particularly great, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. And done. Now, for whatever reason, the grass doesn't actually seem to spread back onto this chalk block, so it's just going to sit here being really, really bright and white. I haven't been able to find a way to get it to grow back either. Bone meal doesn't seem to work, so unfortunately we're just going to have to tear all this out, but that's okay, because we have other plans for the floor in this area. But now that that's all out of the way, we can actually get looking at our cliffside here, where we are going to be adding our elevator shaft. Alright, so quick overview of what our plan for this area is. This region here, pretty much stretching from about there all the way up to the edge of this cliff, is going to be like a work yard. So our iron farm is going to be producing cobble inside the mountain and bringing it out along belts into a processing chain where the workers of this mining facility are going to convert that into iron, and then it'll be able to be carted up and exported down the road that we were talking about in the previous episode that way. Now, to get all that, we're going to also have to add our mineshaft entrance where the workers supposedly go in and collect the cobble to be turned into iron. And I'm thinking that's going to be probably right about here, kind of using this cave as a guide for where it's going to be. Now, we are going to have to lower this down a bit because I'm thinking that the ground level out here is probably going to be this block, Y116, if you look just underneath the map there. And so we're going to have to do quite a bit of terraforming to make this look nice. We're also going to have to clear out these trees and do a lot of digging to get this down into the mine levels. Now, normally this is where I would just insert a time lapse and dig out a big hole, and then we get back to working on it together in person. However, I wanted to take a moment and talk about the replay mod in this series. So I've had the replay mod installed since I started this series. It was always something in the back of my head that I wanted to learn and to be able to use because I feel it's a very good creative tool. However, those of you that are in the modding space are probably aware that replay is a fabric mod. I've been using a ported version that's gone for Forge on 1.19.2 here, and to say it's a little buggy would be a bit of an understatement. I have probably spent a good 40 or 50 hours since I started this series just dealing with crashes, trying to recover corrupted files, and generally fighting off other issues. Excuse me, I am trying to have a serious conversation here. So I want to know what you think. Do you think adding the replay footage is actually worth it for this series? I personally find it is a good way to really increase the quality of these videos, and it just adds a lot of flair to it that I really enjoy seeing from other creators. And frankly, when it does work, it's really fun to work with. But just some examples of what issues I've had to deal with. If I'm planning on recording a replay session, I can't use the bedroll or the backpacks because, for whatever reason, sleeping in the bedroll crashes the game with the replay. And opening a backpack opens up the GUI in the replay as well. I mean, I have to trim out frames and it looks a little jumpy. You may have even noticed that in the previous episodes. But ultimately, I think we're just going to go ahead and dig this hole off camera, and then we might use replay for the actual building later. But I want to know what you think. Leave a comment down below and tell me, do you think it's worth it? Do you think I should just skip it? Or do you have some alternative suggestions that might be decent to work with? Well, it seems like I may have made a bit of an error here. So, I got digging out the hole. I've got it to 3x3 already. But I'm starting to realize, given the height of the elevator that I'm going to be building, it might not quite fit here. Because that right there is already the edge of the exterior. And so if I build it up any taller than this, it's going to be poking through the roof. However, I've already dug the hole, and I'm not going to move it, because that's way too much work. And honestly, this just gives me an excuse to do even more terraforming on the front. Maybe make like a outward jutting cliff face that we can build something cool on top of later as well. So we're just gonna roll with it. Now, after watching me mine out that entire hole by hand with my pickaxe, some of you might be asking yourself, well, James, why didn't you just use the drills that Create Mod offers to dig it out automatically? And to that I say, I'm not that smart. But in all seriousness, we did go ahead and make ourselves a small mining contraption here. As you can see, it's just a 3x3 platform of drills connected to a hose pulley, and those of you that are familiar with the mod will know that this will allow us to drop down the drill and it'll start digging out the space for us, admittedly very, very slowly. This is of course a lot better because it is not draining my pickaxe of durability. However, it's just not quite as satisfying as watching me go in circles for 20 minutes, isn't it? But we'll probably use this to expand the hole a little bit, and I think I am actually going to push it just a little deeper into the mountain here, simply because I kind of want more of a lead up to the actual mine, or the actual elevator, so that way you get more of a opening sense stepping into the area with it. Kind of hard to explain, you'll see once we get to actually constructing it, but trust me, this will make it look quite nice. Alright guys, we've gotten our stuff set up here, we've got our furnaces smelting down some cobblestone into stone so we can decorate up this area. We got a bed, we got all of our chests with all the resources now, so hopefully that doesn't interfere with our replay recording. And, to top things off, we went and crafted ourselves a mega torch. So what this thing does is it basically blocks hostile mob spawns within a decent radius around it. I want to say it's 64 blocks radius, but I could be mistaken. And I also might have changed in the config. I don't remember at this point. But that'll hopefully keep a lot of the creepers and skeletons and all the other nasty things away from me while I'm focusing on building this. So hopefully it'll be all safe and sound. We gotta dig out the roof here, lower the floor a bit, and then we can get building. So let's go. Alright guys, we have got it built up. And to be honest, it didn't take quite as long as I expected. I was working off of screenshots of a creative copy of this that I had made. But there's still quite a lot we have to do to it before this will function. Notably, we have to get rotational power up to that part there, which will require us setting up some kind of a power source. But just a quick look at it, we've got these nice chains kind of supporting this main beam, which is going to be supplying the rotational power. You could theorize that maybe these are in some way like rotating the whole structure to bring the elevator up and down. Not too worried about it, to be honest. But then I really like the way these came out, these side supporting beams, the way they've kind of interlocking, giving it an almost angled look without actually being at an angle. So all in all, I think it looks quite nice. It'll look a lot better once we detail up the area and close in the cave, because if we look at this here, we had to dig out quite a lot of space to actually make this work, so this is going to require quite a bit of terraforming before it looks right. But that's okay, we can do that a little later. Right now, let's get this thing functioning. So, we've got ourselves some water wheels here, and I think the way we're going to do this is we're basically just going to make a giant battery of water wheels, just kind of tucked behind the caves here, just kind of seal this off and make this not really a part of the world anymore. We're just going to place a bunch of these. I'm thinking 8. Oops, I misplaced those 2. And then to get this thing running, we are just going to create a bunch of water flowing down here. Alright, so now all these are supplying stress to the output point here. I did not grab any rods. Alright, shafts collected. So, all 8 of these now are supplying stress to this single point here. And if we did a bit of math, let's see, I think they're making 512. 512 times 8, that's going to be about 4,000. So, about 4,000 SU coming out of here. And that'll allow us to power this and probably also our iron farm. So, the way we're going to do this is we are actually going to pillar up here. Alright, and then we're going to go ahead and remove these andesite casings. And we're going to do a bit of a cheat. So, these shafts don't look very supported like these do. But, you can actually right-click these using an andesite casing and hide them. Now, it is messing up the connected textures on this, but don't worry, that won't be a problem forever. And interestingly, it does not consume the casing. So, in fact, we're going to do that on this side too, just because these are a lot cheaper than the casings. Perfect. Alright. And then what we'll be able to do with this as well is we can like take one of these out and say put in a cogwheel here. Oh yeah, that looks kind of nice. Casing that up. And now if we hop out and look at it, ooh yeah. That'll give us some rotation on the exterior of this, giving it a little more motion and life to it when we look at it. So when we come walking into the caves here, we'll be like, ooh, seeing all the spinny things coming around. Alright, but now what we need to do is actually connect up our power generation back here to the elevator. And I think what we're going to do is just kind of clear out a little bit more space to work with. Let's make it a little easier on ourselves. Alright. And then we'll probably do, let's see. Got several different connection methods, and I do want this to look fun too, so we'll start with a small cog and connect a large cog to it. So if this spins, it'll actually make this one spin even faster. At least I'm pretty sure I'm getting that right. I might have that backwards. To be honest, I never know until I'm looking at it. But then we'll be able to take that. Maybe even we'll take it down to another small one, which does return it to the same speed, but then we'll inside the wall bring it like so, and then probably just directly connect it up, because this part isn't going to be visible. This is going to be hidden behind the wall. Connect that up, and then just a couple of gears. Oh, that is so slow. I did that backwards. That needs to be... There we go. Now, I can already tell you, just looking at this, this is way too slow to use the elevator. That is going to take forever using the elevator. So, we're going to want to speed this up substantially. Now, we have a couple of ways to do that. The primary way of doing that would just be doing more of these gear ratios, going from largest to smalls, then connect them up like so, which we could do, and in fact we might. But I just want to look. What does it take to make this thing? Rotational speed controllers. Ooh. Precision mechanisms. Yeah, I'm not quite ready to start making those, so we'll stick with the gear ratios for the moment. But we'll be definitely looking into that in future, because having a sequence... What was it called? A rotation speed controller. I'm always going to forget that. Having a rotation speed controller is super handy, because it's way more compact. It's only like 2 blocks tall, and allows us to make this stuff work a lot more efficiently. But, for now... that way. Connect up the cog there. Alright, and look at that. That's already moving much faster. There's another way of doing it, of making these go faster as well, which I believe are the adjustable chain drives. Yeah, if you supply power to these, it actually does like doubling or halving of the other speed. It's a little confusing, to be honest, and it would be more compact. But I'm honestly just going to stick with these. This is just going to be buried in the wall. I'll never have to look at it again. So, oh yeah, that looks like that's going real fast. Let's just sneak our way through here. Oh yeah, just look at that one go. That is going to be pretty nice. Now, I don't really like where this is placed, however. That's kind of floating in the air. It's right up against this angled part. What can we do to make that look a little nicer? Ah, it's such a mess of cogs already. Because I want the elevator to be fast. We're going to be going in and out of the mines pretty frequently. Because we're going to need a lot of resources, so we want to make sure it doesn't take 80 years to get to the bottom and back up. Alright, so I figured it out, yeah. We just ended up extending these cogs out here, connecting it up, and it's working now. It's not the prettiest thing ever. Those of you who've got a lot of experience with Create Mod are probably cringing so hard at looking at this right now, but it's fine. It's fine. Just don't worry about it. Don't, you know what? Just don't even worry about it. Doesn't exist. Anyways, all right. So now that we got that connected up, what we'll need to do is actually glue up this whole cabin. And I actually forgot when I was making it. We need these redstone contacts. So do I want this at the top or the bottom? Basically, what this part will do is allow us to designate floors and let the elevator know when it's at a given floor. So you'll see what I mean in a moment here. I think in my creative testing that I did for this, I actually put it on the bottom, but I'm kind of thinking, looking at it, it might be better on the top. I'm not sure. Because these pillars are going to extend further down. Not a lot, but a little bit further down. And I'm thinking it might look better up there. So let's try that. Let's try and see how it looks. Right, okay. Yeah, I think that works. So then... should I move that back one? Huh. See, these are the issues I run into, why this stuff takes so much time. As I sit here looking at it, I'm like, should I do this? Should I do that? Decisions are hard, alright? Alright, you know what? I think we have to move it back a block, because we're going to be connecting several other blocks onto it. So that does need to come off of there. Then that can go there. Perfect. Alright, I think that works. I think that works. Alright. We should be able to do this in one glue area if we're careful. Alright, is that everything? That looks like that got everything. Let's remove the cobblestone because we don't want that. Double check it. Okay, we remove the trapdoors so those won't get stuck. Excellent. I think that's good. We did it right. We should be able to right-click on this and... oops. Probably with an empty hand. Yep, I think it worked. I think it worked. Yeah, it worked. Yeah, because it got renamed Moving Barrel. This thing's activated. Perfect. Now, what's interesting is these are no longer blocks. So, technically speaking, we can place blocks inside of the blocks because these aren't real. Now, if I ever did click that again, this would place them as blocks in the world once more, and all this would get broken. So we're just going to avoid that. But here's the trick. We can use these copycat steps, and look at that. Now we have 2 blocks filling up a single block space, and that means with this copycat, if we take some of our smooth stone here, or regular stone, look at that. It's flush. And it gives us a little bit of depth on the actual contraption. That is nice. And so when this goes down, only this half a step will stay, and it'll, trust me, it looks fantastic when it's done. But we'll have to do the decorating a little later. First, let's test this elevator. Let me go make another floor for it to go to. So the way these floors work is, you see how that piece has changed, that block, the redstone contact changed? If we place another one in the exact same vertical column, I think right there. Oh, yep. See, as soon as I placed it, it changed. If I place a regular one, it looks like that. But this one changed to an elevator contact. Oops. And I always forget that clicking with the wrench rotates things. Now inside of this, we can actually rename our floor and add a floor description, as well as controlling all the doors on the elevator. If the elevator's not the floor we're at, we can connect this to some kind of redstone, like a lever in this case, and... oh, look at that. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? So now it just comes down to us. It's intersecting the floor, but that's okay. And then we can, using our mouse wheel, scroll and choose which floor we want to go to. So right now we're at, I think it designated itself -1. We could change that to, let's just do GF for ground floor, or something like that. I think it only allows 2 characters, so we'll have to come up with some good names. But look at that. Ground floor, or up to 0. I can click that, and we go flying up. Awesome. I am so happy that we have this. Now we just have to decorate up this area and make it look a little less exposed here. So I may have gone a little bit overboard between clips here, as yeah, we did quite a bit here. Let's take a look at it. So we got started on the cliff face out front, just kind of working on the shape, just trying to get an idea for how it's going to feel. We'll pop into Flycam and look at it real quick. Definitely need some other colors, some like tuff or andesite to break up the flat tone of it a bit. But we don't have that currently, so we'll have to get that a little later. But as for now, I think the shape is looking nice. We got the main entrance here, these nice support beams, kind of looks very classically mineshafty. We have our mega torch hidden here. I think it's going to stay here just because not all this is particularly well lit. But stepping inside, you can see we have our elevator. Got a bunch of storage on the side here. This button actually allows us to call the elevator up if it's at the bottom. And then we got some details off to the side here as well. Through some grates over this hole in the floor, some books, bunch of storage, a little bit of metal left on the table here. And if we head down, no railing here. I figured it feels a little more dangerous if we leave it open. Got these iron bar panels on the side. Got some pieces rotating behind it for some visual interest. It's actually connected to this piece here. Doesn't do anything, but it looks cool. Got some more spare components down here, some storage. You know, nothing particularly special, but down here we got some ores. These were naturally generated. Once we get Silk Touch, it'll be a lot easier. We can pepper these around a little more intentionally, make it feel a little more designed rather than random. And then a bunch of storage down here as well. I'm not done detailing this area, but for the moment, I think it should be fine. Got a bunch of details on the inside of the rocks here. Doesn't go down very far just because it's such a deep shaft, and frankly, I don't have the materials or time to get to all that, but the immediate area that you're going to see is detailed. We also have a ladder back here to make our way up. More of these bar panels to access our water wheels if for whatever reason we need to come back here. We can go ahead and hop in the elevator and select our floor. And we're at the bottom. Hello. Probably going to be a bad idea, but Alright. So now at the bottom here, you can see we've done a bit of detailing as well. Nothing too crazy. Just because we're going to be tearing up this place is mostly going to be for resource collection. We're never really going to be down here much, but I figured to make the immediate area look a little nicer. Got some railings here. Got some more of these bar panels. Did some more custom rock work. Some more chests and whatnot. We also have the ability to call the elevator if it were to, say, be up at the top. Then we can just press that and it'll come right back down. Nice. Got our Nixie tubes to display what floor it's on. Got some stuff here, and we actually brought down a couple of extra things. Now we have a pretty flower and a door. This is our main mine area, so if you remember from the last couple episodes, the main way we actually got down here was right over here. So right there is where we were coming down previously to enter this cave, and so now we have an official entrance just over here. I will need to make it a little easier to access and maybe a little nicer looking, but we're probably going to be tearing through this place, ripping out resources and whatnot, but it's nice. We're going to be down here somewhat frequently, so I figured I may as well make it look decent. But with all that completed, I think that's making our mine area look a lot nicer. It's giving us a good sense of what this place is going to be like when we finish it off. We have a lot more work to do with the cliff here, as you can see. I'm going to probably expand it along this edge quite a bit further, as well as toning it down this way. I'm thinking sloping it down naturally into the terrain. But we'll have to play with that, and that's going to take some time. So, unfortunately, I think we're out of time for this episode. If you enjoyed, please leave your comments down below and let me know. And, of course, if you really liked it, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Anyways, that's all I have time for. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.